probably is undoable. Oh, we are in something that brings back memories to my air defense time, because this is an old Belgian army barrack, and I have all the facilities here. Below me I have a medical service unit, and above me I have the tax unit, so
you're safe from all sides.
Safe all sides.
How does an old army man like you end up in the audio world?
Well, actually, I've always been in the audio world, but more as a kind of a hobby and doing things aside during my Air Force time. But after retirement, I had, of course, some time on my hands, and I needed some things to fill that time to do something useful, at least what I think is useful. And that's audio for me.
And with audio, you mean actually not just listening, but building the amplifiers and the speakers, etc.
Yes.
How many amplifiers have you built in your lifetime?
I don't want to count them. When you finish one, you get an idea how it can be better, and then you start all over again. So my first fascination was that you have a box of parts, with wires and resistors and things, and you put them together, and they produce sound, which I still, after 40 years, still think it's fascinating.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
And
you have a huge collection of amplifiers and projects here lying around. Can you just give us a bit of a tour through your studio here?
Yes, if you look at the speakers over there, these are electrostatic speakers. Electrostatic speaker is different in the sense that it has a very thin foil, very large thin foil that moves and produces sound in that way. But to move it, you need very high voltage, few 1,000 volts, 4, 5, 6,000 volts. And normally you use an amplifier like this one or any other amplifier, and you put a big transformer behind that amplifier to transform the output from the amplifier up to 4 or 5,000 volts to drive the electrostatic speaker. That's all, I won't go into details, but that's all wrought with a lot of difficulties. This transformer is expensive, this speaker acts as a capacitor, so the amplifier sees a very difficult load, so it's not easy to do that. The simple way would be if the amplifier could produce the 4,000 volts directly to drive the 4. Now that of course has its own problems, because there are not many transistors that can work at 4,000 volts, but that's one of my projects that I'm working on, and I have some stuff I can show you.
Yeah.
There's not much to see here, but you can see if you start to work on amplifiers with 3,000 or 4,000 volts, you get all kinds of funny things. For instance, a little capacitor, which normally, you have a little capacitor like this one, for low volts. Now, if you want to have a capacitor for high volts, you get this kind of big things. So that's part of the whole project to build a 4,000 volts.
So this is the high voltage
amplifier. Yeah. And of course you need a lot of test equipment, because you really, if you don't know what you're doing, you go around in circles. So I think I spent more money generally on test equipment over the years than on audio equipment. Of course, the audio equipment I tried to build myself, but I spent a lot of money relatively on test equipment.
What is your favorite piece of test equipment?
Well, I don't really have a favorite, but I need a collection in such a way that I want to be able to measure everything. I want to have a scope. I have several scopes. I want to have a signal generator. I want to have a few digital multimeters, because some meters are good in AC, some are better in DC or have other capabilities. I have here two pieces of test equipment, relatively old, from Bruel and Kjør, which in audio is a household name, from Denmark. This equipment is not built anymore for 20 or 25 years, but they have some sensitivities to test some things that you don't have in modern equipment. So I have those too. The other active project I'm working on, which I was working on this morning when you came in, is what I call an auto ranging piece of equipment, and it doesn't say anything, but it's very easy to explain. Nowadays, a lot of people who work in audio, in building, hobby-wise or also professional, they use as measurement equipment a sound card, and a sound card must not need to be a card, can also be a little box. It's a little box, 150 euros, And you connect that to your computer, and then you have software on your computer, and you can do all the measurements. You connect your sound card to your circuit, and then your computer software does the measurements. The thing with the sound card is that it needs about 1 volt signal to be able to measure well. But of course your amplifier you're building sometimes has half a volt, or 10 volts, or 20 volts. So every time you want to measure you have to do special things to get it down to 1 volt. And what I am designing here, and it's basically finished, is a piece of equipment that you put in front of your sound card, and it takes the input, whether it's 10 volt or 100 volt or half a volt, and it makes sure it gets to 1 volt. Yeah, well, this is this auto ranging thing. You know, you put your signal in here, and then there are several inputs, and then your signal comes out here, which goes then to your sound card. And this thing makes sure there are relays that switch. And this thing makes sure that what comes out is about 1 volt, which is suitable for the sound card.
Okay, so that just brings it into the range of the sound card. Yeah.
And there's a little processor in here that you don't see, but it's in the back. A little computer that looks at the output here and says, okay, it's too high, I have to set it down, or it is too low, I have to set it up. And then it shows here how much it amplifies or decreases the signal to get to 1 volt. And you see it here at 0.983 volts, so it's very close to 1 volt.
Can you share some of your famous tips or tricks?
Don't trust yourself, check, double check, and measure. Beep! It probably is undoable.